Hey guys, this is Lantis, and today I'll be doing a little LP for a technical demo I made for RPG Maker magazine not too while ago. What this is a alternative way to make a world map and transportation in your RPG outside of using what RPG Maker 1 usually has. If you've used RPG Maker before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have a world map, and you can place little icons that are towns and dungeons, and you basically make little tracks that go from one place to another, and you have to follow these predetermined lines, and no random fights or any of that jazz. So this is works, but it has a very large disadvantage because of how much data it takes up. The map I'm going to show you is about as big as it gets. If you get any bigger than that, you're not going to have enough. Not going to have enough room for enough events. But anyway, I'm going to try to flip through the text. So if you're really interested in reading it, feel free to pause the video while if I'm going too fast. Basically, what I'm going to be talking about is a few other tips you can do in RPG Maker just besides, what the demo is actually about. But what I'm talking about right here is if you notice the dialog boxes, whenever I'm changing thought or anything, I'm using a wait of 0.0 seconds. It forces the text box to close and open back up. So in your RPG, you could use that when different people are changing, their conversations. Like, Bob says something and Bill says something, you put a 0 wait in there, closes and opens up. You can't use, portraits or little name tags like you can in, like, Sakura 4 or the later RPG Maker, so it's probably about the best way. This right here I'm showing you is you can control 2 events, move them into place, and then be able to then freely walk around after the event or after the little cutscene. Because in a lot of RPGs I've been seeing in RPG Maker 1, a scene will happen, and after the scene, regardless of where the events are standing, they completely blink out of existence and they blink into formation in like a matter of a frame, and that looks really tacky. But that right there shows you that if you you can move the characters into place and then make the party appear where the events were, and therefore make it look seamless. The way to do that is you have to move the party while it's invisible to a location. Like when it showed the camera moving down, I wasn't actually moving the camera, I was moving the invisible party to this spot where it is right now. Then afterwards, I move the events on top of where those 2 guys are standing, then made the party visible, and then made the events invisible. And you don't see that, but it gives it the seamless effect. Anyway, if you have more questions about that, PM me, and I will be very glad to explain it further in detail. But I guess for now, let's just go ahead and head out to the world map. Yeah, I'm just going to talk like an idiot for a bit more, at least via text. Alright, let's get out of here. And, okay, so this is the world map. You have to excuse me, I ripped the events, or the icons that were in RPG Maker 1 and ripped them out and resubmitted them as events. If you download this, you can get the sprite sheet to use them, even though they're not the best quality, but, what can you do? And this is pretty much the world map. As you can tell, I can't step into the water because of the, over the mountains, which you'll never actually be able to cross. And you step on the beach type area, and it tells you you can't because the water's deep. Like, okay, that's cool. You're kind of trapped in this little island here. So we'll head back on in. And lo and behold, There's a treasure chest over here. Funny we didn't notice that. Yeah, so. Oh yeah, treasure events. One thing I really hated in other RPGs I've seen, the way a treasure event works is it's basically an event that doesn't require a switch. But the thing is, the event doesn't change to the opened frame till after everything in the script is run, or the event content. That means you get the item, the sound effect for the chest opening, and all that jazz before the chest actually opens, and that really bugs the ever-loving snot out of me. So by adding a change event graphic to the open chest before any of that, or at the same time as the sound effect, really makes it, stand out a little bit better. But now that we got our ship, let's go ahead and head out into the water. All right. And the point that, and what I'm explaining right here is that because there's two party members, and the thing is, if you go into your menu and go to your status, I still have two characters in my party. Like, I did not replace the party with a boat. The second party member is in fact behind me, or behind the boat, but her character event is set to invisible, and you can do that by going into your code and specifying that through the character options. It's really simple, and if you walk back on land, it just changes their events back. So you don't do that in the event editor. You do that once you go into the page, not page conditions, I'm sorry. Once you go into the event content, you can change that, and once you do that, you should just get this effect. Now, as you can see, I can't go over the rocks because I'm in a boat, but yeah, so, and that's just nothing special about the rocks. It's just made in system data, so there's no code behind it. Don't worry about that sparkly. I'll go into that a little bit later. And as you can see, we still got free roam to just swim around. Go ahead and hit up this beach, and here's the little castle icon. Now, the design for this area, I was just poking around. It really has no significance other than just to be there. It's just housing a chest with another vehicle. And the hovercraft, since there's no event, I had to rip the sprite from, I think, was it probably Final Fantasy IV. I think it's Final Fantasy IV hovercraft, so you'll see whenever we get back out there. So instead of changing to the boat, if the hovercraft is in your inventory, which it is, and instead of changing to the boat, you'll change to the hovercraft. But that also turns on a switch up here. There's a vent over all these rocks, and with that turned on, it's a it's the trick most of the like this kind of familiar. You use object, I think 36, and there's a color for it to be clear, and you can pass over it. So by aligning the rocks with it, I eliminate that restriction. You can't pass through them. So, and that gives the hovercraft the effect that it does. So now we can try to find our way to the next little hovercraft or vehicle. And yeah, you'll have to excuse the little dungeon designs. I was just picking around, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And the reason why I had that little dungeon there is because the next vehicle you get, I didn't want you to be able to leave yet, and there's not going to be anything that gets over mountains. I'm going to say something about this icon right here. Like I talked about before, I ripped out the sprites from RPG Maker 1 and put them in here. The thing is, the sprite sheet has 9 frames. And if you use anything other than up, down, and left, or right, seeing as the same frame technically, the way you can't get them to show without actually moving the event in place, because that's like the mid-walk frame. So actually, the event was one space over to the left, but when you first got to the world map, there's an intro or a takeover event to this one telling it to move left. And the actual move location for it is actually one space in front of me and not the actual building. So there we go. And we're in our next little place. And we get our next vehicle, the airship. Now, this works just like the hovercraft did, except basically you have more, events to put over things, so you can give the appearance you can fly over it. Now, saying you couldn't fly over mountains, so you can actually go here to just kind of play around with it. And I had to set an event so you didn't go into that dungeon if you accidentally go over there. So we'll just go ahead and go back. Now the only way you can get into it is from these little sparkly zones, and you just hit confirm on them to land again. So we're gonna go back into this dungeon, kind of backtrack through it, and or I could just walk in the water and skip to the end. That's what happens if you walk in the water. Anyway, so if you remember earlier, there was a sparkly over here. So we're gonna board the airship. Now, not only can we pass over rocks now, this remember when we were stuck in this land? Well, now if we go over it, we can pass right over it now. There are events lining the outside of this island that'll allow us access to fly over them. There's also events over the trees, so we can fly over the trees as well. And this is where the this is the big bane of it right here. You can't really do this with very large maps because you're going to run out of event slots very, very soon. You can only have so many events in one map. So, like, we're flying around. You got a little new area over here now that you can fly over, land that you can get to with the ship or the hovercraft. Just a wide open area over here. If you keep flying around, you're like, hey, there's a place over here. But we're flying up in the air, so we can't really do anything. So let's just kind of fly around for a bit and see if we can't find ourselves another landing pad. Okay. Now we're on foot again. Let's jump in our trusty little hovercraft. Over here. There's another place. Don't worry about that whirlpool. If you try to walk on it, it would just tell you you can't because, well, something convenient. So now we've got a submarine. And this is the last vehicle. And there's really nothing special to this quote-unquote vehicle. I basically just took this world map I created, duplicated it on another location, or not on another location, another little map. It's a duplicate, but when you walk into the whirlpool, you get sucked down, and now you're underwater. And everywhere you see a whirlpool, you'll pop out somewhere around the world map. So you can kind of see exactly, what I've been doing with this. You can use the same objects that I've been using to make the invisible blocks that you can pass over. You can also use as transparent and black to carve out little tunnels that you could swim through while in the submarine. And also the submarine was ripped from Final Fantasy V, I believe. That's a Final Fantasy V submarine. But as you can see, this gives you many, many more options than what you had with the standard RPG Maker 1 world map system. The thing is, I would highly advise that if you were really going to use this method, that you try to split it up your game into continents. And you make you devote each map to a continent that's no bigger than this. Because if it is, you're not going to have enough events, and then you're not going to be able to pass over objects like this, which would pretty much just absolutely ruin the effect. So that's generally about it. So I hope this worked out for you. I hope you learned something from this, and if you do have any more questions, feel free to just drop me a line, and I will be very glad to hit you up with a reply. Anyway, thanks for checking this out. Talk to you later.